I tell women, say, don't be calling guys thirsty. I know what y'all doing. Women be going to the grocery store, be having all these tight clothes on just to buy some bread. Be taking their time walking around. You just like
get dressed to go to get some gas.
Exactly. I'm pressed.
We in the Bay Area out here, so we see that all the time. All the time.
You are experiencing the CO2 Carbon Ops Rawcast. Let's begin.
That's right. And you ain't said it no better. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. You are rocking with the team. This is the CO2 Carbon Ops Rawcast with, of course, your boy, Diggy Jones.
And your dude, the merciless Reese L. Black.
Good evening, Mr.
Yes,
Black.
sir. Man, I just love like these events when we got something cooking. I told y'all, man, for 2021, you thought we was doing something, in the beginning. We doing big things this year. And I don't think it gets much bigger than this. We got an OG in the dating and relationship game. Great guy that's coming on to the show today. This is a special episode, ladies and gentlemen. So for those of you who don't know, this is not one of our typical episodes. This is called The Winner's Lounge, episode 2. And The Winner's Lounge, just to recap, is basically our chance to celebrate and highlight those that are doing big things for the culture, big things for, just life in general, achieving things that we respect. So we got a great guest coming up today. We're going to introduce him in a second. But in the meantime, let's start it up. This is The Winner's Lounge.
You are cordially invited to attend The Winner's Lounge with special guest and official Game King, Rom Wills. Author of several notable books, including today's featured material, Nice Guys and Players. Let's resume the Rawcast.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a magnificent guest today. Author, mentor, coach, wrote one of my favorite books pretty much as long as I've even known I had it, Nice Guys and Players. And I also recommended Sexual Chemistry, which is also a groundbreaking book that all of you fellas need. Straight out of Baltimore right now. The one, the only, the OG in the game. He had a great feature on the magnificent dating documentary Game Kings. The one and only Uncle Rom Wills.
Yeah.
Welcome to Winner's Lounge.
Hey, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm ready to just jump right in.
Let's go, man. So how you been doing? What's been going on? What's new for Rom Wills in 2021 as we speak?
Hey, I'm just really working on just doing my thing outside of just YouTube. I mean, I have a lot of channels outside of YouTube anyway, but actually doing stuff in the real world. Yeah, we got COVID and everything out here, but I'll be doing self-improvement summits and seminars, stuff like that. Of course, I gotta kind of wait for things to clear up a bit, but trust me, I'm taking this thing to the streets. So that's the plan. It might be later in the year, but it's going to happen because, hey, people really need this information out here, and it's really not difficult for people to pick it up.
Actually, I had a question about the summit because I've been seeing that. Is that a tour or is that just a local?
That's more of a tour. I mean, but for this COVID, the second summit wouldn't have happened in D.C., but would have happened in L.A.
Oh.
And now we have another one coming up that's scheduled for Atlanta in March. So, we got that. And then at some point going overseas. I mean, we're really doing this. So it's going to definitely be a tour. Definitely. Dope. I mean, the only thing really slowing it down from us doing more is really just the COVID. Yeah. So yeah.
Let's hit on
and
hit
even then, I still do some stuff offline or online, like webinars and stuff like that. I don't talk about them as much publicly, but we're constantly rising and transforming. That's the main thing.
That's awesome, man. Well, so we're just kind of wondering. I mean, like you've been doing this, and you've been giving like young black men like gems and jewels for a long time, and I just kind of wondered, like, how are you seeing, with this new age, with the young cats that are coming up in the game, like what's kind of the difference with like the dating game that's like kind of right now to like how it was like when you really was getting started and learning on your way? What kind of changes are you seeing that like some of these young men are facing?
I'm gonna tell you the biggest change is really the social media, and it's not necessarily a good change. People are being influenced negatively. People thinking what they see online is what it is, and it's online. But I'm gonna be honest, when you get out there in the streets, you get out there in the real world, nothing much has changed other than women are more sexually open now. They used to hide stuff they doing now. They just hid a bit better back then. Now with social media, we know about it and see a lot of young guys thinking some new stuff. I'm like, no, they were doing it. Nobody had screenshots and stuff like that back then, but they're doing the exact same things. And it's kind of funny. Dudes think this is new, but I say you didn't live back then. That was the only thing. Like now, you got proof that your woman was cheating. Back then, you couldn't figure it out. I mean, you didn't have screenshots. You couldn't go through their phone or anything. That's the only difference. But a lot of guys think, oh, yeah, it was so great back then. No, they just hit it better back then. They were getting down. In fact, I'm going to be real. I talk to my elders. I know stuff that's happening now is going back at least to the 1930s, at least to it, but they kept it hidden way better. Wow. And that's the only thing. It's just open now, but it's the same thing. Like sex hasn't changed.
Yeah.
I mean, just how raw do y'all want me to get on?
I mean, this is the Rawcast,
yeah. And this is the select edition, so bring it.
You keep it as raw as you want.
Sex hasn't changed. Yeah. Sex hasn't changed because I'm gonna tell you what, even out of wedlock births and all of that hasn't changed. It just hit it better back in the day. I mean, I'll put both my grandfathers out there. They had kids outside of their marriages, like whole families. I mean, like when I'm out in LA or something, I meet a woman out there, I got to check her background before I get with that. Like I got with one woman, it was because my father's people, they were Creole. And I met a Creole girl out that way. I was like, hey, tell me about your grandfather and everything. That's how they were rolling. But they hid it better back then. And it's open now. See, one thing I'm seeing a lot of young people, they think it was some like great Disney type of thing back in the day, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
There's no difference. Yeah, there's some social difference, but it's superficial. But once you get in the bedroom, they still have sex the same way. Yeah, they still been doing the same thing, and that's the bottom line. Now the social stuff, and I've talked about that. There's a difference between the social stuff and the sexual stuff anyway, because a lot of the sexual stuff, that's behind closed doors, so you're not going to see it the same way.
Facts.
So that's the thing. But if people really look at my work, I'm telling dudes how to get sex.
Man.
That's it. I mean, and it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. The only thing that changes is like maybe how you go through the social part of it, and even that, like I said, it's superficial.
Facts.
When you get down to it, women still see a dude and be like, he can get it.
Yeah.
I do got a question before we do jump in the first in the first segment. So, do you feel now, as in this era, has now the the blame for objectivity shifted? We used to get blamed for objectifying women sexually. Now, do you see women are pretty much objectifying themselves, or have they just been doing that the whole entire time? It's just a smartphone that proved it.
No, they always knew what they were doing sexually. I'm gonna tell you something with women. They are very sexual. They be doing their thing. The thing is, they also know that most men out here can't handle it. And they always knew that. So they were hiding stuff. And like I said, now they just say, you know what, forget that. You know, they be like, hey, come on, bring it now. They looking at a guy, say, hey, dude, I'm gonna back this thing up. That's the only thing. They open about it now. They tell you straight up. Back then, they used to play because they knew they had to deal with. You know, they had to deal with what society said, and you know, they had to deal with some guys still to get married and all of that. Shit, women make their own money now, so they don't need men as much for providing anymore,
right,
or even protecting. But they still need that hot beef injection. They still need that sex. That's not going to change. In fact, I'm gonna tell you what. Just the way I saw women behaving in the 80s, as far as when you get them past that mask and see how they talk about sex and how they do now, I haven't seen a bit of difference. In fact, I'm gonna break it down. These women now know they got the game from their mothers. They know it. Their mothers broke it down. Say, yeah, make them pay for it first. Ration it out. They be giving the game. Like you get some women trying to complain about men giving game online and stuff. I say, please, y'all been learning since y'all were little babies. Y'all watched your mother step out on your daddy. You watched her back it up to some random dude. You watched the guy who would cut the grass come in through the back door. Y'all didn't see him. Y'all still doing it. In fact, if you look, and one of the when people like bring up like any differences, I said listen to some of those old blues songs. Just listen to them, you know. And then also back in the day, you would have the milkman, the door-to-door salesman. It's a lot of stuff. And it's just now we just know about it more, and it's more open, and a lot of dudes haven't like really caught up with that. But getting back to the original question, women know what they're doing. They know when they put on that tight dress, those 5-inch pumps. They know what they're doing.
We're just in fact, in the dark.
Let me get y'all with a secret. If a woman dress up and she leave the house and nobody looks at her, nobody say anything, she'll be depressed for a few days.
Bars.
They know that. Seriously, if a woman, I don't care, they be trying to act like, no, we don't care. Like a guy can say hi to him or something, and they'll try to play it off like, oh, no. And when they get home, they be like, girl.
Right.
And I've had women tell me that, and I say, yeah, why y'all open with me? They say, Ron, we know you can handle it.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's interesting that you say that, because like what were we talking about the other day about how like, you know, women basically been getting hit on their whole life. So for them, you know,
attention since the cradle.
Exactly. Like they've been kind of conditioned to like fiend and crave for attention. You talk about in your book about how women are just naturally vain. And like we'll talk more about your book, you know, in the second half. But I think that's like really bars for like some of these new cats is like, you know, they crave that attention. So if you know how to play that game and how to balance that, like you can use that to know, you know, how to put yourself in a position to gain their attention.
Oh yeah, definitely. And also just understanding what women want on the deepest level.
Yeah.
Because I always talk about the sexual shadow world, and it's really, all it really is just what they do behind closed doors. It shows their true face, because most of these women, they got their representative publicly, but behind closed doors, something different. And if the woman likes what she sees, and you can be quiet about it and don't really expose her mask, oh, you can get a lot. You can get it's powerful. But of course, you know, in my book, I tell you how to pretty much get the entrance to that world. It's not hard. It really isn't.
Rom, let's back up really quick, just because I think like there may be some cats who I don't know how, but may not have like your background. Just really briefly, like what got you into the game in the beginning? Like what got you? Because I know in the book you were talking a little bit about how you have your 4 types of men, which we'll get into later, and how like you started out as a certain type and then moved on to become, you know, another type. So like what like got you started with all this?
Just coming up. I mean, here's the thing. When first of all, even before I got into it, I was hearing stuff from, let's just say, women I'll just say sex worker types coming up, but only absorbed enough just to keep me out of major trouble because they were cool with me. So they tell me how not to get played. Wow. But at the same time, I'm still following what everybody else doing. So, and I was just blowing it. Sometimes I had women take me to the side and say, no, don't do that. And you know, that was just normal. And that was what I would call my more non-select days. And you know, I still be doing some stuff. And then in my early 20s, that's when I started seeing. I was like, oh, I should have been listening to him better. And I would just gradually learn and sex worker types. Because if I can tell you what, if a man can meet some sex workers, be cool with them, they'll tell you everything. They tell you the whole game. Mm-hmm. So I learned from them, and then some real players, like real players, like in my book, Nice Guys and Players, I talk about this guy named Jim. And I came up with him. Me and him were like best friends. And, you know, I'm gonna be honest, even though I call those days my non-select days, I still got some. Not like he did, though, or some other dudes. And this, I always say, and I've told him too, I said, man, why don't you come on my show? Why don't you come and say, nah? And he just be chilling. I mean, women used to camp out at his home. And I know some other dudes, they were on some serious stuff. Like if they come on YouTube and start doing game videos, dating coach videos, they blow most of the people out. Because these dudes want another level. Because I knew this one dude, he was from Jamaica. He could just mess with a woman's head psychologically. I mean, he had real game. So I started learning from them. So, you know, I made that transition from being kind of clueless. Even though I knew enough to get something, but when I started really seeing stuff, really learning, I was like, damn, I thought I was someplace. Now I'm someplace better. And one of the keys that did it was when I was really getting in shape, when I really got into the body game, early 90s. That's when I really saw it. Like I would say before then, I had pretty good game. What people would say good game. I was able to get some, but it's like, you know, I had to really work. Got the body tight. All of a sudden, some women who had friend zoned me, platonic, were doing vile things to my body. It was just like, that's when I saw it. Yeah.
I relate.
And, you know, I was doing my thing big time and, you know, doing my thing big time. And then it was interesting. I got into writing. And I had written a pamphlet for women on how to find the right guy for women. But then when I was selling it, men were saying, hey, we need some. And I was used to hanging around players. So I was like, oh, he don't need anything. But then I did. So I mean, everybody kept convincing, yeah, let me write it. Then it just exploded from there.
Wow. All right. Well, time to get in it. Ladies and gentlemen, just going to give you the heads up. This episode is not about how to get chicks. So if that's what you're looking for right now, dip. This episode is damn near themed after him for the select. So you need to watch this video if you're having problems on trying to maintain a bunch of chicks, pretty much is what we're saying. So this is what we're diving into. So if you're looking for some gems on getting girls, some might drop a little there. But right now, this is for the 9289, the 100, the octane. This is what this is for right here. This is why we brought Rom here. So if you already got game, you know what you're doing, and you want to get things better, this is what this show is about. So all you guys out there who are, you know, black pilled or whatever, this ain't for you. This is for the select only. So let's go ahead and move on to the first segment. So, Mr. Goodbar. Mr. Goodbar. What makes Goodbar Goodbar? What is it? Is it the eyes? Is it the mouthpiece? What encompasses Mr. Goodbar, you know, in layman's terms?
Well, the main draw is his physicality. He sexually turns on a woman with his body. That's the main ingredient, but that's only a foundation. It's a body and an attitude towards women. One thing about Mr. Goodbar, he don't chase women as much as they chase him. And he taps into that one thing women want, sex. Understand, when women choose men, when they interact with men, even if it doesn't have anything to do with sex or officially, they still making a sexual judgment. See, the thing is, these women are horny out here. You leave it up to a woman, they'll have sex way more than a man. And I've talked about this incident like on my Facebook. I was a friend with this woman who was, she was in like a tantra community. They big on sex, sexuality. And she had a question for primarily women. She said, how many of y'all had slept with 2 men in a day? And there was 100 unique responses on there. And that's just where I stopped counting. Wow. And that's the thing. These women want to have sex. Mr. Goodbar is the guy who brings them sex. Now, he's called Mr. Goodbar because he's like that chocolate bar that a woman should need, or that ice cream sundae. They know it's bad for them, but that sugar is good. They want to indulge. Yeah. That's his main thing. And that's based on the term from that movie from the 70s, Looking for Mr. Goodbar. These women just be looking for sex. When they deal with Mr. Goodbar, they don't care about his money. If he happen to have money, shoot, they'll pay him. They will pay him. They will buy clothes for him. His sole purpose is to give him that D. And see, the thing is, the main thing he got is his body build. And it might not even be that great, but it's decent. But his attitude towards sex is sexual charisma. That's the thing. He got sex. That's the main piece with Mr. Goodbar, is sexual charisma. When they're around, they just turn on. And like I said, the physical part, yeah, it's just the body. And, a lot of people talk about the face and everything, but there's a lot of women who have sex with a guy that they would call ugly. Facts. But his body, they looking at that, because when it's sex, they might not be out they don't need to be in public. In fact, he's a 12 to 5 man. He's a maintenance man. In fact, all he needs to do is look like he can bring it. He turns them on. And see what it is that he's open sexually. He's not sexually repressed. If anything, his sexuality might be under control. So he's that guy who can give it to them. They know it. They know he gonna get in that bedroom and tear it up. Yeah. And that's the vibe he gives off when you go off of that vibe.
Facts. Well, I mean, that's dope. We basically giving everybody a little teaser into the second half of this show. But we appreciate Ron being on. He's going to stick with us. We'll be right back. We're going to take a quick little break to refresh. And when we come back into the fixins, get ready, because as Reese just said, we about to get a little bit deeper into this topic of Mr. Goodbar and the other types that are in Rom's book. So stay tuned. You don't want to miss it. CO2 Carbon Ops Rawcast. We'll see you in a minute. All right. We are back in the building. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us. Once again, this is the CO2 Carbon Ops Rawcast, and we are here in the special Winners Lounge Edition 2 with Rom Wills. Rom, man, we're going to kind of get a little bit deeper now into your book and such. I know we already started off with Mr. Goodbar. Reese, where you want to take it from here?
Let's go to the Masked Man. Now,
you know what? Here's the thing with the Masked Man.
Well, first, before you start, would you say that the Masked Man is mostly like the pickup artist community?
Nah. Nah, that's more the gamesman. That's getting into the
okay.
gamesman.
Please elaborate. We'll get to the gamesman later then. Let's go with the Masked Man first. Go ahead.
Well, the Masked Man is this. And that's, how people talk about looks, money, and status. That's more the Masked Man. Now, with the Masked Man, he ain't quite Mr. Goodbar. He ain't quite, but he do got to have some sex appeal. So he do have to have, he gotta look a certain way. And when you were talking about dealing with, 89s, 92s, and 100s, that's who they go for. Like, they don't just grab, some people think they just get some money, can look any type of way. No, that Masked Man need to hit the gym and everything. Now, he don't have that raw sex appeal, that raw sexual magnetism as Mr. Goodbar, but he got enough. Like conventionally handsome and money and some status to still get women. because the basic thing with women is the first cut is the sex. But then if they trying to fulfill the social obligation of being married, being in a relationship, they still look for that guy who still can give them some sexual energy, but also give them that financial thing or that status especially. You know, it's like those women who might go after some guy just because he's an attorney or a doctor, something like that. That's the man. So, and it's also what he got. It's like, let's be real. Women do go for men with money and status or look like something, especially if they like 92s. Like a 92, those women got some degrees. They're making some money. Mm-hmm. They might mess with Mr. Goodbar on the low, but they want that guy who got that material thing. You know, and they'll tell themselves that's what they want. They program to want it. Just like you get some women, they want a successful man, you know, like they talking about the whole high value man thing. Oh, yeah. They want that type of man. So that's the mask. So when they see him, they just see the outside. They don't see his personality. Right. He pull up in that car, got that nice suit. That's all they see. And, you know, as long as he's conventionally handsome, got a good body build, that's all they see. Indeed, some masked men might think they missed a Goodbar because the women dealing with them on that level. Women are throwing it out. Like if you let's just be real. Women they want that guy with the money. Without calling certain people's names, 6-figure men. Those are masked men.
So he's basically like the wannabe Mr. Goodbar, I guess you would say.
Okay. Well, and he might not even notice because I'm gonna be real. A good masked man, he getting it so much he might not even think of it. He'd be like, you know, this works for me, and he might not even think it's some natural thing. But then this is how he know he's wearing a mask. When a woman gets past it, they never like what they see.
Facts.
When they see his real personality, or he's up there and he decide, okay, he don't want to be that attorney anymore or a doctor, or he want to do something different. He wants to take off the mask. And the women be like, well, wait a minute, this is what I married. Because the women who go for him, they the ones, you got a lot of women. They, especially as you go up in class, especially 92s and 100s, they want that status badly. They want to be a part of that. So, and the dude don't have to have game. He just has to be in that position. And they usually don't. Now, they still got to, they have game, but it's different from what people think is game. Right. They got to calculate more. They got to think about it. They got to be careful. Yeah. And they got to make sure they keep that mask on. Because if they know, you know, they driving that Mercedes, they got that Armani suit on, you know, their body's nice and tight. And they know they got the women just on that surface stuff. Right. And maybe not that like raw sexual charisma. Right. They know if something happens there, they in trouble.
Well, okay, so that's bars. This is where it gets deep for me because this is like that kind of more advanced level of the game that I think a lot of guys really get confused. It's really easy to me to understand the Mr. Goodbar. It's really easy to understand, you know, like that kind of stuff. When you get into the masked man and then moving on into the nice guy, I think that's where a lot of guys get tripped up, right? Because now it's like, all right, I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought both of these guys, it seems like they both suffer from the same problem. Like they thought they were doing the right thing. So the masked man is building up all of this inventory. He's got the nice rings and the, you know, the look and the job and all that stuff. And he thought he's doing it right. And to an extent he is. He's getting what he wants on the surface. But in the long run, is he keeping these girls? And the same thing, the good guy thought, you know, I'm charming these women, I'm taking them out, I'm doing all this stuff because I think that's what they want, because they keep saying this is what they want. And yet, for some reason, why am I not getting this girl to stick with me? So what's your take on that? You think they're kind of in like similar lanes in a certain way?
Masked men and nice guys really are. Let me go a little deeper with y'all. On a subconscious level, both of their sex drives are repressed. Wow. They don't have, like, one thing about the Goodbars and even the gamesmen, their sex drives are more out there. They don't have any, their biggest thing is just keeping theirs like under control enough just to deal in society. The masked men and the nice guys tend to be sexually repressed. So it's like when women are dealing with them, is not the same sexual energy they feel from Mr. Goodbar. Now, like I said, the masked man, he actually has to have some decent looks. He has to have it. And he has to have a little bit extra money. He has to have the look. He can't be one of those, he got to make sure his clothes, his style is tight. Mm-hmm. And even then, the woman, she's more looking at that social status and stuff. And you'll find that with 92s. Like, he could get a, like, you know, a man, let's be real, a man could get a ratchet without anything. Oh, she just got to like how he look.
Yeah.
But when you deal with those more higher class, with the professionals or the women, they looking for a little bit of money, they will sit there and say, well, where'd you go to school? What you doing? They looking at that more. Mm-hmm. So he appeals to them. Now, let's be clear about the 92s, the 100s, and the 89s. They will still get with a Goodbar on the low. But if he's just a regular, like, I don't know, office worker or, you know, delivery guy, or even if he don't really have a job, they ain't gonna be out in public with him. They can't take him to those parties and stuff like that. Right. You know, this got to be a guy that they can take out with them socially. So that's the important thing.
Yeah, actually, let's go deeper. Let's go deeper. You're familiar with Tyler Perry's movie, Daddy's Little Girl, Idris Elba.
Yes, that's a perfect example. Yeah. Because, you know, that that woman, she was feeling him, but her friends were like, oh, he's just a mechanic and stuff. Mm-hmm. So he was kind of that Goodbar type to her, but he wasn't the masked man. Mm-hmm. You know, when women see that type, you know, especially when they bougie, yeah, they might be turned on and stuff, but that'd be the situation there. They'll deal with them in the sexual shadow world. Mm-hmm. Like, you got a lot of those women at that level, those 92s. They'll get into sex parties and everything, but the first thing, they make sure that guy be quiet. And they might look at him and say, hey, you see me walking down the street, act like you don't know me. But then they'll marry the masked man. Mm-hmm. They'll marry him and have his baby and everything. And he got enough, you know, they have good sex.
He got the resources, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he got the resources. I mean, that's just a reality. That's just a reality with some women. I mean, I always say you can beat money, but it works, but you don't want what you get, because as soon as that money dry up or there's any difference, the woman's out. Mm. That's why I'm like, I ain't big on it. I want that woman to mess with me if I'm just doing something menial. Well, because then she like me for me. Because the mask, she's in love with the mask.
Facts. I'm sorry. I'm glad you brought that up. I just wanted to real quick bring up the segue into the gem of what I think is the entire book for me. Is you brought in, so you started with the 4 types, and then you said, let me throw in this 5th type, which kind of like correlated to me, almost like the story of like the death of Superman, you know, like when like Superman died and then he had these 4 different types of Superman, but they wasn't quite Superman, like the real man. Like I was really feeling that, because what's your take on the real man? What is it about the real man that separates him and elevates him over the rest of these archetypes?
Well, see, each of these archetypes on a deeper level represent something different that a man can bring to the table. The real man is the man who incorporates all 4. So he can still be Mr. Goodbar and knock it out the box, have women going crazy, but then he can also go out and handle his business, handle the money every day. He can still got that creativity which gamesmen have, because they be lying and doing all that stuff, but that's creative. But if you use it in a positive way, that can help you. And then he can do what the nice guy does. The nice guy is great for dealing with the kids and, you know, buying the woman some nice things when she earns it. You know, he's great for that. And so what that guy is, what coming up, we would call that just a thorough brother.
Thanks.
You know, a thorough brother, that guy who can hit it on all levels. You know, that guy, you know, that lover and fighter. I mean, like with some thugs, I've actually known some real true to the game thugs. You know, they be dangerous. You be scared to even look at them. But when baby girl comes with that toy phone, you know, it's like, Daddy, here's the phone, and he's up there talking. He just changed up.
Tea party.
But that's a man. That's a man. A man, because, you know, even going beyond nice guys and players, I talk a lot about the house of the man. And in every culture, every indigenous culture, they got that. It wasn't something that was just made up. Cultures, until we got to Western culture, always had that. A man had to be able to be a warrior. He had to be a hunter. He had to be a thinker. He had to be a lover. And it's the same thing. The real man is just the man who brings it all together. So yes, he can do all that. So yeah, because you get a lot of guys, unfortunately, with a lot of Mr. Goodbars, not all of them, but a lot of them, they so busy going in and out of women, some of them can't keep jobs. And, they can get up to their 30s and 40s and don't have much to show for their lives. But then you got some other guys, they can make all the money in the world, but they can't get that woman. My thing is do both.
Yeah.
Be that genius. I call it a genius bruiser. There's nothing to say. Be like Ghost from the TV show Power.
Yeah.
Be like Ghost, because you know with Ghost. Yeah, he still had that soft spot for his kids.
Yeah.
One killed him, but that's another story.
I know.
Spoiler alert, by the way.
But y'all should have been finished
Right.
Power. They on book 2.
I know.
Shit was like last year.
I know, but that's what it was with Ghost. That's why women were going crazy. Idris Elba. He got big because he played Stringer Bell. If you look at Stringer Bell, yeah, he was a drug dealer, but he's very smart.
Yeah.
And, he had his lady in there and everything. See, women, the nature of women, they need all of those things. Just like we need multiple things from women if you want to get down. We settle for what we get from them, but we really need multiple things. Women, they are turned on by those multiple things in a man. Like they definitely turned on by how he turns them on sexually, but then they also need to feel protected with that man. And then they need that man to mentally lead them. Women, if you let them go when they're on, they like butterflies. They just move around and stuff. A man is like, okay, this is what we're going to do. Boom. Like if you're a true leader, that's a way of cutting through it. You might be average or whatever, average build, average look, average money. But if you're a true leader, women be like, oh, wait, because there's a part of them that wants that. So the real man is just the man who's optimally developed himself. And it's a tough road. It's not easy. It's not easy at all, but it's something every man should take. So he need to be that lover, that fighter, that thinker, that trickster if he needs to be. He needs to develop as many aspects of himself as possible.
Man, Rom, This goes by too fast, fam. At some point, we may need to get you back on for
We out of time.
part 2 already, man. Like this went way too fast.
That wasn't no hour.
You know what? 5-minute audible. Like I know you got one more question.
Yeah, we do. We got to get into the games, man. We got to get into the games, man. For the simple fact that you said this is more of a label for the PUA community, which apparently people will see that is now dead. But you said you're not really on in the YouTube space as much, watching other videos, but it's almost as if it's at PUA 2.0 now. So we got brothers out there who are complaining about women who can't handle rejection, but now starting to say it's better than now lie to these chicks. So if you can, go ahead, summarize the gamesmen and why it should not be used, why direct honesty should be, very valuable, when it comes to approaching women in 2021.
Well, here's what it is with the true gamesman. Like first of all, you do got a small percentage who can actually get women. It's just a question of which women they get, and that's a whole other story. Yeah. But the majority of them, they really don't. And they game because first of all, they don't turn on a woman like Mr. Goodbar, and they don't have that status and resources like the mass man. So they're not selected. They're not selected at all. Basically, they're the equivalent to a woman. Like to us, if a woman's ugly, out of shape, with a bad attitude, but we had sex with anyway, that's the equivalent. That's what the gamesman is to a woman. So they might deal with him if he just happened to hang around, or they can't get the top 2. Yeah. And then he's telling lies, but if he's desperate enough, they'll still deal with it. Yeah. And then, he can still get sex, but then the woman might make him wait a long time or something like that. Or sometimes a woman to get him and think she can change him. And even then, that's like those 85 and 87 octanes that might deal with them the most. A 92 will almost never deal with a gamesman, maybe an 89, depending on the circumstances. you know, depending on the circumstances. And like I say, some of them, a few of them, they can get theirs and look like they really doing something, but then you got to look at who they getting in the circumstance. But their biggest thing is they don't have much going for them. But the thing is, they're going to hit on as many women as possible. They're going to hit. If that woman's a 3, and she's like fairly functional mentally, they're going to hit on her.
Yeah, 3 with a booty.
You know, they're going to try to get what they can. They don't care. It's like, look, if you're a father, you got some teenage daughters and you got some dude in your circle that come off like a gangsman, keep them away from your door.
Facts. Man,
you know?
Damn it.
I know. I don't want to stop.
We bring you back, Ron.
Yeah, we
hey, that's no problem. Just let me know, man. Whenever y'all want me.
All right.
Let me know a few weeks in advance, though. You know I got playing these things.
Yeah.
I think I got at you a few weeks, so I'm good.
Man.
All right.
I'm good. You know, anything you want to plug, man? Where can they find you?
Yeah.
Just go to www.romwills.com. Go to my YouTube page, and any of my video. If you go to like my main YouTube page, just Rom Wills. Go in the description box. It has all my sites listed, and check me out there. So you definitely want to do that. And you know, I'm always working on something. I can be caught up with anytime. You just hit me up. You got any questions, or you want to set up a consultation session? And I'm very cheap. I'm extremely cheap because I'm really trying to help some people out here.
See, the rest of y'all coaches, y'all hear that?
Yeah. Like, learn something from the pro there, man. Rom, man, we really appreciate you, gracing us with your presence, man. Like, this has been great. You've been spitting some real gems for these young cats out there, and even for the people who think they vets. So, to everybody else out there, if you heard any of these archetypes and you didn't like where you were, you felt like that hit a little too close to home, go check out the rest of his book, man. And find out what you need to do to become, a better man. Anyway, thank you again, Rom.
Well, let me say one last thing, man. Say one last thing. Because I know people say, because I've seen, the whole dating coach thing, they say everybody's alike. If you really look at what I'm talking about, my thing's about being in a state of being. But seriously, because I don't be, sometimes people hit me up and say, hey, have a camera show you doing something. I be doing all that. I just be just chilling or something. And I just be beating women or young girls or something like that. Got somebody I can hug up on. But it's all a state of being. I don't be thinking about it. I be thinking about other things. Every man want to get to the point where it's just a natural thing like breathing. He's not even trying. Because the thing with women, they are always looking. Yeah. These women thirsty out here. They thirsty. It's pitiful.
No, it's obvious.
It's pitiful how thirsty they are. I tell women, say, don't be calling guys thirsty. I know what y'all doing. Women be going to the grocery store, be having all these tight clothes on just to buy some bread. Be taking their time walking around. You just like,
getting dressed to go to get some gas.
Exactly. You see those? They're pressed.
We in the Bay Area out here, so we see that all the time. All the time.
Yeah. Bam.
They pressed. They want that. They want that D. And if you talk about Mr. Goodbars, like I said, most Mr. Goodbars are lazy about chasing. Never ask a Mr. Goodbar how to approach. Never. It's a waste of time because he's gonna be like, nah, man, I just be walking along doing my thing.
Oh man.
Or like Rom says, I'm just here to get some wings.
Dude, that's a true story.
Oh man.
It was at a restaurant in DC. I would come there because they would have free wings. I wouldn't have to make dinner, so I just come in there and I'm sitting there, women just coming up. I'm saying, I'm trying to seriously. They would not give me any peace. And I'm sitting there like, okay, I'll get you later. Let me finish my dinner.
Oh, man.
Man, can you be this week? Man, Ron, it was a pleasure, man.
Huge honor.
Thank you for coming on this edition of Winners Lounge. The select edition. We had to go ahead and make it in honor of you. We're going to have to be out of here. So, DJ, how can they find you?
Yeah, for me, hit me up on Diggy City on Instagram and on Twitter. What about you?
And of course, you can hit me on the gram. Good evening, Mr. Black. You can find me on Twitter, Evening Mr. Black. And make sure you guys hit our Instagram, CO2 Rawcast. And also make sure you hit us on Facebook, Carbon Ops Rawcast. Hit the wall, comment, subscribe, like the video.
Yes, all of you on YouTube, be sure to, subscribe to the channel. Thank you to all of the new subscribers as well. And by the way, go to Rom's channel. Go ahead and subscribe to his channel, like all of his videos, buy all of his books, and you'll be a better person for it. Anyway, thank you for coming. Cheers to Rom for being a part of the second edition of the Winners Lounge. And we will see you guys next time. Until then, peace. Flip side, we out.
Peace and blessings, everybody.